Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to make this lemon wreath, and I will go ahead and apologize, but it just has to be said. It's easy peasy lemon squeezy. We're going to do this one using the chain method, making poofs. So we get our pipe cleaners cut at 4 inches a piece and get 21 of those. Except I really didn't have enough mesh. This was not a full roll of mesh, so I didn't have enough to do 6 poofs around the outer edge. I only did 4, but I'll show you how I improvised for that. But I liked this mesh, and it's the only that I had with that full metallic look, that iridescent stuff in the middle. Loved that. But you just measure out 10 inches and then put a pipe cleaner. Measure out another 10 inches, put a pipe cleaner. If you struggle with 4-inch pipe cleaners, you could go with 6-inch because it might make it a little easier, but then you have to kind of cut them off at the end, so I typically don't like to do that. But it is a bit of a pain to use the 4 inches. Because you're wrapping around quite a bit of mesh, and then you're going to attach it to the wreath frame that way. But just play with it and see what works for you. Now we're going to start on the inner ring, and we'll put them at the crossbars. We're going to do the first 2 rings are 10-inch poofs, and then that final ring I did 12-inch poofs, but like I said, there wasn't enough mesh, so I only got 4 out of it, but it worked out okay. So you just put that on the crossbar, and then take your next one, put it on the crossbar. You try to make it to where it's not going to slide around on there. I mean, once they're all on there, it doesn't make as big a difference, but you know, if you can get it to where it doesn't slide around, it's better. And we're going to do 6 poofs because there are 6 crossbars, and then you do finish on that first ring where you started, so you're going to have 2 pipe cleaners on that one crossbar. And then using this method, I don't come out to the second ring, I just keep going. So double up there and then just go down to the next crossbar, second ring out. Hopefully that makes sense. If not, please just let me know in the comments that you have questions. Plus, I do this wreath several times, so you can always watch the other videos and kind of get a good idea for it. And sometimes it'll, well, every time, it will make your poofs a little off. You'll have 2.5 at the very, very end when you have enough poofs. With this one, I didn't have enough poofs. But you can never tell. And here, like I said, I only had 4 poofs on that outer ring, and I just spaced them out further, and it really did pretty well. And you don't put it on the outer ring. You put it on that third one from the center, because that last ring helps to keep it pushed forward. Learned that the hard way. I think it was the ringlets that I did that they just kept flipping to the back. So if you keep it on that third ring out, then it's a lot easier to keep everything pushed forward. And I'm making these little rings I'm going to put on the crossbars. Usually I do bundles, but this time I just wanted to use some mesh and that beautiful lemon ribbon. It was so pretty. But the ringlets are cut at 8 inches, and then that poly burlap is also cut at 8 inches, and it's a 10-inch poly burlap, but it's going to be used for leaves. And if you saw the ladybug video, I don't know why I use this poly burlap to make leaves. These are the little rainbow looms that I use as rubber bands. But yeah, that poly burlap it just frays so bad. And especially if you don't heat cut it. So I haven't done a lot with poly burlap, but the first thing I ever did was the cross wreath, which was the purple or lavender and white one, and I did wood burn those. It did make a big difference, so the more I work with the poly burlap, the more I see how much it frays. Now here, you saw I folded it over and then scrunched it up, and I was showing you right there, I wanted both of the cut edges on the back, so that's why I scrunched it up and then flipped it so that both of those cut edges are on the back. And we're going to do one more, I'll show you. This is 10 inches by 8 inches. That's why it doesn't fold exactly even. Scrunch it up there in the middle. And then you're going to flip it so that those cut edges are both on the back. I don't want to do all of them because people get bored with it, but hopefully if you didn't catch that, just rewind there so that you can kind of get it. But then there's still that one cut edge, and it just frays like crazy, but you live with it. And then these are cut at 10 inches. In hindsight, I would have done 12 inches because the poofs are pretty big, so 10 inches almost gets a little lost in there. And my ribbons were from Michael's, but they're spring ribbons, so they were on clearance. In fact, when I bought that lemon ribbon, but it's so pretty, but I don't think you could find it right now. But they're cut at 10 inches. And then this was something from my stash. Then I go ahead and dovetail all of the ribbons. Those are the Tim Holtz scissors. I love them. You can see here I do that test again to see if my ribbon was going to fray, but it was pretty good, so I didn't have to put anything on it. Then I take just one ringlet because I only had enough to make 8 rings, little ringlets, and so I just did ribbon and a ringlet. And then I ended up with 2 extra ringlets. Then I put this yellow with the blue. And this client, she wanted a dark blue, or I mean like a navy. So that's how we incorporated that in. And then the lighter blue, it all kind of transitioned well. And then of course all the lemon yellow stuff. And you can see how it looks a little sparse because of the white. You can see through it, but by the time we get everything added, I think it was beautiful. Plentiful. It makes me think of the fall and Thanksgiving. It was plentiful. I showed you there that the ribbons were 3 different sizes. I really would have loved to have had that dark blue on the back, but it was my smallest ribbon, so I really couldn't. Of course, it's just personal preference, so you just have to play around with your ribbons and see how you like them. But I'm using my Easy Bow Maker on this one. Gave myself a little bit of a tail. And I am twisting this so that we can keep our right side facing out. And these are 6-inch tails on this one. Not tails, I'm sorry, the tails were 8 inches. They're 6-inch loops on the bottom or the back of the bow. And then we go to the yellow and white, and I do a 5-inch loop on that. I just love that ribbon though, that lemon with blueberries. I speeded up the recording, but people say leave the bows in, show us the bows, we love bows. So I try to leave the whole process, as we've talked about many times, that when people cut out all the process, it makes it seem like everything's just boom, 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 done. But it's not the case. It takes some time. And the yellow, I didn't have enough to make my second tail. So I ended up cutting that off a little bit, but then I go back and deconstruct one of the ribbons where the blue's on top of it, and I just add that back in. So I did have two tails. You honestly could do it with just one tail if you had to, because sometimes they get hidden behind each other anyway. No one would ever know. And the yellow and white ribbon, I just went back and forth. I did not twist it because I checked and you could not see the wire on either side. So that was fine just to go back and forth without twisting. With the lemons and this polka dot, you obviously couldn't do that. And I ended up with just enough of the blue, the dark blue there, to have tails. I made two tails on that one. Isn't that awesome? And my center loop I did out of the lemon. And you don't always have to make a center loop like that. I just typically do. I like a center loop. And I like it to contrast typically too. But it doesn't have to. I like it contrasting because if you go with the same on the top as the top loops, sometimes it looks like just one continuous piece. Again, it's personal preference. That's the great thing about crafting, is just play with it, try different things, and see what you like. And that's why I usually have a loop. So here, when you're using your different ribbons, you go one to the top, one to the bottom, and leave the back one on the center. And when there's just two, I kind of end up making it just blue, yellow, blue, yellow, blue, yellow, blue, yellow. I think I said that enough times. And I did use a zip tie to put the bow to hold it together. And then here, that's my extra tail. I just attach it to the center of the bow. You never know. And I add my ribbons. And sometimes they go straight across from each other, and sometimes I like them on the same side. Then I was putting in the leaves, simulated leaves, going with the lemons. And then I thought, we'll add these little flowers. I wanted to mention that you can go to DIYDion.com. That's DIYDion.com. It'll take you to Dion Allen Designs, and you can get 25% off of orders over $50, and that is good through the weekend. So go check it out. Get you some good deals on some mesh. And I just recently posted on my 10-inch mesh, which broke my heart, but I love the 10-inch mesh the best. But guys, we're done. There's our completed project, and hope you liked it, and we'll catch you on the next one.